Hello and welcome back to VHawks podcast. I'm very glad that Shaquille Griffin was able to make one of the defensive plays because he wears number one. And you want to know where I have the Vikings ranked? That's right, baby. I got them ranked number one again.
You're gonna be mad at me.
I don't. I mean, I don't think the Chiefs have been playing great football, but you're entitled to your opinion. You got the two undefeated teams at the top, so that's fine.
As I said last week, the only reason why I have the Chiefs number one is they're the reigning Super Bowl champions and they still haven't lost. Even with the injuries, and I know you've dealt with injuries as well, way more than the Chiefs. But until they can be beaten, good faith, I have to keep them at number one. Um, Now that could change. We'll get to our predictions for next week, but we have Bucks before the Lions on both of ours. We just have the Chiefs kind of flipped with the two.
Yep.
Still have Bills up there. I put the Ravens up there just because of how dominant that win was. Um,
I
Commanders still
and
up
I
there.
was simply just like I got to see it again. You know,
Yeah, that's fair. Um, I still just don't believe in the Falcons. I need to see more. Um, Honestly, I don't think there's really anything in our picks that are too.
outlandish.
We have the Commanders up, not in the top five, but still as a top 10 team. Um, Bills around five. Uh, Stroud's Texans around 7, 8.
You took my wrong list.
This
You
is the
took
right
the
list.
no, it isn't because it's supposed to have the Steelers in it.
Oh, well, rip.
I sent you two emails. Hold on, let me check so I can read to everybody what my actual list is because it changes at the bottom four, I think. Um, 1 second. You talk about something else.
Oh, there it is. You had Vikings, Bucks, Lions, Chiefs, Bills, Commanders, Ravens, Seahawks, and Texans, Steelers, Falcons.
Yep. Because I don't know why when I made this list I completely forgot about the Steelers because I was editing after y'all's game. I was trying to figure out, okay, I need to shuffle this a ton. Um, because y'all were at four for me last week and the Lions were at like seven. So I had to move a ton of teams up a couple or down a couple. And so the Steelers somehow just got erased from the list when I was deleting teams and then typing a new one. So I was like, no, the Steelers need to be up there because um they're still 3-1. So yeah, the Packers get bumped, which is great for me on my list. But I think the Falcons deserve some credit because, they've had tough opponents. One of their losses was to the Chiefs, which Chiefs with refs. So I mean, you're playing the best team in the league with Chiefs plus refs. So that's understandable. And they figured out how to stop the Saints and the Eagles. So I think those are pretty good
I
teams that
wouldn't
they are
say
able to
they
stop.
stopped the Eagles. The Eagles stopped themselves.
Oh yeah, that's also true. Two things can be true at once.
That's fair.
But
It's
yeah, I
just
think the big thing for me this week was having two teams in one spot. And this isn't me trying to just be like different. I literally see the Seahawks and Texans as the same team, just one's in the AFC and then one's in the NFC because they're both 3-1. They both beat who they should beat, and they both had a bad loss on really good teams on the road.
yeah.
So, I mean, I literally am just like, these are the same team. So the Texans stayed at eight for me. I bumped the Chiefs down from two to four just because they haven't been winning any game convincingly, and two or three of them could say because of refs, at least two. Whereas the Buccaneers and Lions had one hiccup, and otherwise they've looked completely dominant. And I originally had the Lions at two and Buccaneers at three, but then I was like, well, the Bucks beat the Lions, so because of tie-breaking purposes, I'll put them at two. Um, and I'm not gonna drop the Bills too far for one loss, so I dropped them 3. Commanders, man, had to give them their credit.
Yeah.
They were an honorable mention for me last week, so they jumped up there. Ravens weren't even honorable mention last week, and now they're at 7. So had to move some stuff around.
Yeah. It it's kind of like last year where there was the whole year was just movement around top 10. Like nobody was consistent, even the Chiefs. Like I think there was a period where they lost 5 out of 8 games or something. Um, so I think we're going to probably be seeing the same thing again because there's such an inconsistency to the NFL right now where no team ever looks dominant week to week to week to week to week.
Yep.
Um, and that might just be you and me are older. We're starting to see the league more. It's honestly always been like this. There's a reason why there's not too many back to back Super Bowl champions. There's a reason that there's never been a three-peat. All these things is just the health of teams. Football is a game where it's a game of inches. Sometimes it's a game of luck. Where does the ball bounce when it hits the ground? And sometimes does a player trip when they're grabbed by the foot or do they get out of it? And that can win or lose games. So I think it's just going to be a thing where this could be completely different next week. And I don't think you and me would be surprised.
Oh, absolutely. And like the big thing is like you've got one team that's 2-2 and the Ravens on your list, and that's about it. And I wanted to give a shout out to more than one, so that's another reason why I had the Falcons on there. But I also had an extra room because I had Seahawks and Texans as
Yeah.
one tier, but the Packers aren't supposed to be on there anymore. So I originally had 3, but then forgot about the Steelers. So
Because
Packers aren't
honestly,
on
if
there
you made
anymore.
the Seahawks, like say Seahawks 8, Texans 9, that would kick out the Falcons with them being at 10 originally.
Yeah.
So
So um absolutely, but I mean you gotta give them their flowers, but that's also why I didn't put the Ravens as high as you did, is because like, well, they're still 500 and they beat one good team. So I'm like, I don't want to bump them too high, but they've proven to be dominant once they figure out how to run the ball. So, that gives them their flowers. But
that's at
once
least
we see it more, they're gonna rise. They're gonna rise.
that's at least 2 straight weeks that they've run the ball well. Now they almost choked against the Cowboys. That wasn't a game where Odell scored like a touchdown with 5 seconds left and made it a one-score game. That was the Ravens had a chance to actually lose that game. Um,
Right. I
so I
guess
get
my
where
thing
you're
is just like
going.
I wanted the Ravens to be able to have room to grow, whereas like looking at yours, if the Chiefs, Vikings, and Ravens win this week, the Ravens don't grow at all.
It's just for me, we had the Bills so high and we thought they were playing so well. Now they faced Jacksonville, they faced Miami, they faced Arizona, who all three are three of the worst defenses
Yep.
in the league. So I think we're giving them a little too much props, but we'll see this week with how things go.
Yeah, last week was different just because we had 5 undefeated teams.
Yeah.
So this week there's a lot of shuffling. So
But as we move for the season, hopefully things become more clear and not as chaotic, but that's not going to happen.
it is not. So, all right. Well, there's our power rankings. Good bit different than last week, but for the most part, having the same teams on our list. So, good to know that neither of us is losing our marbles. Always good to see.
Until next
Um,
week.
until next week. So, um, but yeah, so uh tune in to tomorrow where we'll have our week 5 predictions coming out. Should be a fun week. Both of us going up against New Jersey teams. So Vikings even taking a trip over to the pond to do it. So we'll see how that all goes. Hopefully we're coming back here with 2 wins.
Peace.